This is what happened. My younger sister demanded that I terminate my pregnancy so she could have the first child in the family, and when that failed, she attempted something dangerous and unthinkable. I spent nearly 8 months trying to conceive. There were tears, doctor visits, and quiet nights filled with hope. When I finally got the positive test, I could barely believe it. We shared the news during a family dinner. Everyone erupted into excitement. Applause, hugs, laughter. My husband, Mark, squeezed my fingers under the table. Everyone reacted, except my sister, Lila. She froze, slowly set her glass down, then slammed it so hard the stem shattered. "You don't understand," she said sharply. "I was supposed to be first." The room went silent. The next morning, someone pounded on our door. I opened it wearing a robe. Lila stood there holding paperwork and smiling without warmth. "I scheduled 3 procedures," she said. "Choose one." All of them were in my name. She pushed the papers toward Mark, who was barefoot and half awake. He tore them in two without saying a word. Lila screamed and stormed off. I hoped that would be the end. It wasn't. That Sunday, she called a family meeting. Nearly 20 relatives crowded into our mother's living room. Lila stood beside the TV, clicking through slides like a corporate presentation. One slide read, "Why my sister is destroying my life." She talked about fairness, timing, and birth order. Then she pointed at me. "If she doesn't end it, I'm cutting all of you off." An uncle who works in law calmly said, "There is no rule, legal or otherwise, supporting this." Lila burst into tears and ran out. No one followed her. Months passed in silence. I went to prenatal appointments, felt the kicks, folded baby clothes, and planned a small baby shower. I taped our ultrasound to the fridge and told myself everything would be fine. It wasn't. Halfway through the shower, the door slammed open. Lila walked in wearing a tight shirt and a clearly fake-looking pregnant belly. Printed across her chest were the words, "First baby arriving." The room froze. My mother dropped the knife she was holding. "Surprise," Lila said proudly. "I'm almost due." I told her my due date was 8 weeks away. She snapped back that hers was 10. Her face flushed. She stepped close, grabbed my arm and whispered, "It doesn't matter. Mine will come first." Then she left. 2 days later, my mother called me, shaking. Lila's roommate had confessed everything. Lila had been ordering dangerous substances online to induce labor. Worse, she had paid an unlicensed person to perform a procedure in an apartment. A neighbor saw blood and called emergency services. Lila nearly died. Doctors saved her life but had to remove her uterus. She would never carry another child. Her premature baby boy was delivered and placed in intensive care. The family split apart. Some said Lila was mentally unwell and needed compassion. Others said I should have hidden my pregnancy to protect her feelings. One relative even suggested I should have ended mine. I stopped reading the family chat. Days before my due date, my doctor admitted me for observation. Lila's newborn was still fighting in the NICU down the hall. Lila lingered in the corridor, staring at my stomach. Nurses told Mark she had been asking unsettling questions about security, locked doors, and when babies were left alone. Mark alerted hospital security. Her photo was posted at the desk. That night she tried to force her way in, using an expired visitor badge, screaming that she had rights because we were sisters. Security stopped her. I shook uncontrollably. My contractions began hard and fast. Hours later, our daughter was born. She cried loudly as they placed a security tag on her ankle and wrapped her in a blanket. I kissed her tiny face, and for the first time in months, I felt safe. The next morning, a social worker came in. If Lila couldn't care for her baby, would we consider adopting him? I thought about the chemicals, the hallway, the way she watched my stomach instead of her son. I said no. My child was my responsibility and my limit. They told us the baby would be placed with his father's relatives in another state. Now my family says I'm heartless for refusing. But as I hold my daughter and listen to her breathe, I know one thing clearly. Protecting my child was never the wrong choice.